floor.
I nominate Kay. That's Michelle.
Thank you,
I
Michelle.
second that.
So just because I didn't look at the screen when that happened. So Michelle is nominating Kay and Joseph as a second.
Correct.
All right, I'm gonna.
Are there any other nominations? I very much appreciate the honor. I'd like to respectfully decline and nominate Bobby O'Reilly.
All right, we can second that. Second.
Sorry, I'm
Thank
writing
you.
it down. Okay, so Bobby, do you accept the nomination before we vote on this?
I'm sorry, Jackie, were you talking to me?
Yes. Do you accept the
Yes.
nomination before we vote on this?
I do.
Okay. So we are going to do a roll call vote. Commissioner Krantz?
Yes.
Why is my...
Aye.
Okay, sorry. I'm trying to get the voting system up. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Castro?
Aye.
Commissioner O'Reilly?
Abstain?
Commissioner Whiteley?
Yes.
Commissioner Khan?
Yes.
The motion carries with 4 yeses and 1 abstention.
All right, and next we will have a vote for our vice chair. Nominations?
We wanted to do that next, right?
Arts Commission. It was.
I wrote that on this one.
Right.
If someone wants to nominate me again, I'll go here to help Bobby. Or if somebody new, just step.
I will nominate Kay for vice chair of the Oroville City Parks Commission.
Do we want to roll?
Okay, and she can help. I'll second.
Fine with it. They're going.
Okay. Thank you. Kay Castro nominated as vice, seconded by Michelle Khan. All in favor? Jackie, go.
Commissioner Krantz?
Aye.
Commissioner Castro?
Aye.
Commissioner
I'm going to
O'Reilly?
vote for myself, Bobby.
Commissioner O'Reilly?
Aye.
Commissioner Whiteley?
So just a small correction. My last name is pronounced Whitley, but I am a yes on that.
apologize. Whitley? And Commissioner Khan?
Yes.
Oops. Motion carries with 5
Well, that's
yeses
it.
and 0
I'm
noes.
going to go ahead and turn it over to Bobby then, right?
Yes.
So for the record,
Thank
we
you.
have Bobby O'Reilly nominated as the chairperson and Kay Castro nominated as the vice chair.
Correct.
Wait.
Just making sure. All right, Bobby, we are on item number 3.
All right, item number 3. First, thank you. I appreciate the nominations. And item number 3, appointments to Oroville Arts Commission. We're looking to appoint a Parks Commissioner to the Arts Commission to serve for that commission as well. Is there anyone who wishes to serve on the Arts Commission?
I will if you wish want to nominate me.
Okay, we have 3.
And
I
there's
have I'm sorry, I can't figure out how to raise my hand on my phone here. I have a question about what it entails, the responsibilities and the time commitment.
I can answer that for you. The Arts Commission is a commissioning body much like the Park Commission. However, they get to make recommendations to the council regarding art-related activities within the community. And so the Arts Commission is held at 4 p.m. Before the Park Commission, so it has the same schedule as the Park Commission, except for the time is at 4 p.m. instead of 5 p.m. Also, there are special meetings from time to time, much like the Park Commission, but the obligation would be no more than 12 meetings a year.
I have a question.
And that's
What
a
is
very
the
busy year.
purpose of putting a park commissioner on the Arts Commission?
That's the way it's written, is to have that appointment.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have 3 individuals who expressed interest in being on the Parks Commission or on the Arts Commission. Jackie, how should we proceed?
Bobby,
If someone
there-
would like to make a
if you
motion.
have a person's interested, I've already served on the Art Commission, so I don't need to do it again.
Okay.
I was raising my hand to ask a question. I actually liked the person that when Michelle said so. Michelle, I would like to nominate you, Michelle.
So
Okay, that's
the
fine.
First, is there a second?
So we have a nomination for Michelle and interest for the Arts Commission by, please, I have a quick question. Is it Laura or Andy?
Andy.
Okay, interest by Andy.
And what I'd like to say is that I think that the Arts Commission could use the input of someone younger. Like I said, I've served on it for about, 5 years before. And I would like second Andy's.
We have a hand up, Mr. Whitley.
I was just going to say I was going to nominate Andy if nobody else did. So I would gladly give a second for that. So.
All right, we have a nomination for Andy and a second. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Krantz,
Aye.
Commissioner Castro,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Reilly,
Aye.
Commissioner Whitley,
Aye.
Commissioner Khan.
Aye.
Motion carries with 5 yeses and 0 nos.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move into reports, discussions, and correspondence. Dawn, is this you?
Yes. So we have until 5:30 when we anticipate the remainder of any public participants to attend. So we could take a 10-minute break and come back at, my watch is dying.
Really quick before we do that,
Yes.
I don't see it on this agenda because I forgot this is a special meeting, but is there any news or updates from the museums, Michelle?
We are working on lists of wants and needs for each museum, and we will present those maybe at the next meeting. And some of them will be some simple fixes, repairs here and there. Some of them will be maybe more costly, and then some of the lists will be, wants, big wants that one of these days may happen. But that's what we're working on right now.
Amazing, thank you. I have a question for Jackie or Dawn or whoever it may pertain to. On the next regularly scheduled meeting agenda, can we get the museum and the parks budgets included in the packet?
The budgets? Yes, we can do
Yes.
that.
Thank you.
And I'd also like an update on the auction of the de-extensioned items.
Yes.
It was my understanding that was going to happen before our next February meeting. If that's not the case, I can wait till then.
The auction is currently in progress. So the items are on the North State website now. We have put that website or web address on our city website and the city Facebook page, so you can go see those items at any time, and it will close this Friday.
Yes,
I believe it
so.
is this Friday. And they did dedicate this auction solely to our museum items because it is such a unique collection and we did have so much. So tell your friends, all the proceeds will go back to the museums as it is stated in the park policies and procedures. So, in progress.
Awesome.
Has there been a good response?
I'm
do we
not
know-
sure. I haven't received an update from the auction house yet, but
Okay. I'm just curious.
Hey.
I haven't been on Facebook, and so I didn't even know it was happening.
Hey,
So,
Kate.
yes.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I think you can log into that
It looks
auction
like
and actually see
it
what has
closes
sold and
tomorrow,
what has not.
The 9th through
I'll
the 13th.
go do that. Thank you.
I'm going to too. So if we want to take a break until 5:25, done.
yes, please.
So we will call this meeting break until 5:25 p.m.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Were the other agenda items, the loos and all that, going to be after the public meeting, or is that not the part of this meeting? It was on the agenda.
It was not on the agenda. It was in the email from Dawn that it was going to be included in this park development revitalization program, I believe.
Yeah, it's two different.
Okay, got it. Okay.
I'm sorry, Dawn, did you have
I
something?
apologize. What we did was incorporate the two meetings together. So we wanted to be fully transparent, let the Park Commission in on the conversation with the staff's intent to apply for these grant applications to enhance our parks. Plus, we also need to hold community meetings. So that's why we were having this meeting as a joint meeting to bring in more of the community in the conversation with the Parks Commission.
Awesome, thank you. For those that have just joined in the meeting, we are on break until 5:25 p.m. We will resume.
Can I ask a generic question, even though we're not in session? I don't know. I just have a generic question about the POP team because it's very important. All the work we're doing, and law enforcement needs to work closely, and I haven't heard much about that lately.
The POP team currently has no individuals working in it.
I'm sure this is a discussion for one of the other committees we're on.
Yes.
And that POP
Sorry.
team is headed up by our police department, so I can ask our chief of police to provide us with an update on the status of that team.
Thank you. Who's that?
So Wade? Wade?
Yes, Michelle.
So if we need to go into the museums and do some, finish up putting away the items and so on and so forth, just arrange the time with you in a week or so, that would be okay?
Yeah, just email, text, phone, whatever. We're back to fully staff, 40 hours a week starting tomorrow. So we shouldn't have a problem getting you in, helping you out however we can.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. Thanks, Wade.
You're welcome.
Hello, Barbara. Hello, Sandra. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for, oops. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, good. Thanks for having us. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Paul Bach.
Sandra, your mic is muted, so you know.
Yep, you have to go up to the top.
There should be a little microphone with a red line through it. If you hit it, you should turn your mic on. There you go.
Now, thank you.
Paul, are you going to talk? If you're going to talk, you have to there you go.
Yes.
Good.
Hello, Paul. Thank you for coming. And then just remember when we resume the meeting, if you guys could mute the mics until your turns to talk.
I'll mute mine now.
Okay. Is there going to be a discussion after? I mean, how is this going to organize?
I'm going to ask as soon as we resume in 1 minute so we can all know, because I'm not sure either.
Oh, okay.
Chairperson O'Reilly, we'll just reopen at 5:25, but we cannot resume conversation until 5:30 because that's the way it is agendized for this community conversation. So, and then I will, you can introduce me, and then I will introduce our consultant, and then he'll roll into his presentation for the project. Once we close out that project, then we'll roll into the next project, and I'll explain further in a few minutes.
And will we have public input in between the two?
It's all about public input.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Participants outside of the norm. Oh, I want my dog. Smart man.
Since we cannot move forward until 5:30 anyhow, and we can't discuss other items that aren't on the agenda, I'm going to say we're going to have a couple more minutes before we resume.
Can we have a generic question? I just logged onto that website. It says 16 hours.
16 hours left.
Yeah. Like, is that right? She said Friday, but I don't have time now to tell everybody about it. 16 hours. We'll be up all night. Can somebody confirm that?
For the auction, yes. The auction does close tomorrow, the 13th. I apologize.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's hurry up with this meeting because I know a lot of people who don't have, well, they don't have Facebook or they don't have anything and they don't even know about it. And I kept saying it was coming up and it was my bag, but I'm just kidding about her meeting, but I already found some things to bid on.
Hey, Kay, can you send me the link that you found?
Yeah, I will. Hold on.
We'll get it out there real big.
Yeah, we got to get it. I mean, I know I'm not the queen of social media, but if I don't know about it, gosh, it's not Oroville. Just
I don't know anything about social media.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Barbara, Sandra, Design Group, Joseph, A.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi. Just strolling through, seeing who all these people are.
Thank you for joining us, Council Member Riggs.
I only have like 4 on my picture. Laura, Michelle, Art Commission, and I. How do I get everybody else?
I just scrolled. I pulled it and scrolled mine across the bottom of the screen. Does yours do that?
Look for gallery view. It looks
Yeah.
like a little hamburger. Look, you can do a single person, talking person, or the whole gallery. Up on the top right.
Oh, I see it.
I'm not getting that.
Play with that. Then when they share a screen, you'll only be able to see the screen and the pictures will be really small. So when screens are shared, don't worry that you lose people you really didn't.
Mine was on the left.
Thank you, Chairperson Bobby O'Reilly.
Hey, Chrissy.
Hi, Chrissy.
Hi. Hey, friends. I miss you all, and I'm sad to not be on the Parks Commission anymore, but I'm happy that I get to participate in these community meetings.
Hi, Paul.
I'm also totally browsing the antique auction and bidding on some things.
My computer's not working. Otherwise, I'm totally multitask. So you guys know I'm here with you right now, but I'm dying to go back to that auction.
Every single thing item in that auction. I'm sure I touched every single thing in that auction.
Chairperson O'Reilly, we've reached 5:30.
Okay, we're going to call this meeting back to order. It's 5:30 for the Oroville City Parks Commission meeting. We're going to move into Statewide Park Development and Community Revitalization Program. Dawn's going to start.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Reilly. Yes, we have decided to, apply for 2 program grant applications for the Statewide Park Development and Community Revitalization Program. The first being the Hewitt Park Phase 2. Not everybody knows that back in 2003, the Hewitt Park Master Plan had a Phase 1 and a Phase 2. What you see today is Phase 1 of that project. Phase 2 never got off the ground. I don't know the reasons behind that, but being that we have such a beautiful plan, we wanted to resurrect that, apply for this funding, and get that park finished to the way that it should have been back in 2004. So we have Greg Melton with Melton Design Group here. He's going to give us a presentation. Before I let him run with it, I just kind of wanted to give you guys a rundown. We're going to start with this program application presentation. Once we're done with this discussion, we're going to roll into our next application, which is going to be the Bedrock Park recreation amenity upgrades and the trail revitalization with signage and lighting. So that will be the second piece of this community meeting. So I'm going to hand the floor over to Mr. Melton.
Great. Thank you, Dawn. I'll share my presentation here. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
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 Great. I'm going to do a running chat to capture all your input. And if you all want to put input via chat or via talking, that's fine. You can, if there's conversation going on and you want to speak, just raise your hand or put your little hand up, and it'll show up on my screen, and I'll get back to you. And also, if you don't mind, we're going to want to, for all the people that we don't have email addresses for, we're going to want your contact information. So phone number and email address and name would be greatly appreciated. So you can just go put that into the chat if you want. If you want to send it directly to me so no one else can see it, you can do that, or just send it to the whole list. So, does anybody have any questions for starters? Good. Then, again, my name is Greg, and I'm with Melton Design Group, and look forward to, I was part of the team that designed Hewitt Park years ago, and, we'd love to see the rest of the park built out, but this is all about a Prop 68 grant, and our goal is to get community input. They have a whole section in the grant called community planning, and this is a very big part of it. So whether you're a commissioner or the general public or whoever, it's all good just to get the information. So we are currently on our very first Zoom meeting over on the left here, and I'm able to do some fun annotation things, so I can come in here and put circles on stuff and enjoy doing that. So I will highlight that kind of stuff for you guys. But this is our first meeting. We have 5 meetings for sure that we'll do. And then there will be a survey that'll come out also to get input. Our next 2 meetings will occur next Wednesday and then next Saturday. And again, a lot of this is for capturing ideas, getting vision from people on what they really want this park to be. We're going to look at the old design, but that doesn't mean we have to follow the old design. Any new design is just as welcomed.
Mr. Milton, if I may, really quickly, if I can ask everybody who's not speaking to mute your mics, please. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So Prop 68. Prop 68 is a state-run grant, as you can see, State of California Parks and Water Bond. This is what round are we in? 4th round of it. August 2019, there's the last submittal done, and many people in the North State, up and down California, there was like 400 submittals of the grant. And they gave away 60-something grants. So you can see there's a lot of competition, and so for us to be as successful as possible, this is where we're going to want to get input from you. And the input would be design ideas, what elements you want in the park, where you want them in the park, and why you want them in the park. So, and if you want to say, hey, I would like to have a pickleball court, maybe elaborate a little further on where you'd want it. And if you're a big part of pickleball, then you're part of the pickleball group, then that's great. If you're not, it's good to know that there's individuals we could hook up to that group to play some more. So part of our grant, like I said, is these 5 meetings. So we'll be doing 5 of these. As we get to number 4 and 5, we'll be showing more design. But typically 1, 2, and 3 is taking input in. The next meeting won't be at a park commission meeting. It'll just be a public meeting, but not at the commission. And we'll probably just come back to you one more time a little later when we have a design. So that's kind of how that's going to go down. So here's our park site. We currently, if you guys are familiar with it, then you know what you're looking at. The park site here is, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, has the developed spot as you come in with the bocce courts on your left as you come in, some picnic areas, our restroom, little play area, a big parking lot, and some existing basketball courts. And then we have a big grass area and then a secondary access up to the train here. And but that's the only access we have at this time. So just to give you some pictures of what we have, here's the current restroom and picnic area, play area, the bocce courts, basketball courts. Adjust my screen a little here. And then let's scroll down. We have, this is the main entrance off of Baldwin, flagpole, plenty of picnic areas. Then when we go to the next slide, this slide shows a lot of areas that are still needing to be developed, which is in the red. So this is area that's really undeveloped except for the top part here. And then this purple area, which is currently bocce and picnic areas, that if you guys want to see other things put there, again, we're open for suggestion. And like someone said in the text, there's some great potential here with this park, but we're not stuck on anything at this present moment. I am going to point out that, we do have the current access here, a secondary access coming down here. And then we're going to have another access. We want to have another access to this community up to that road in the future. So we're trying to add another point of connection to make it easier for all these people to get into the park.
Greg, we do have another staircase at that Spencer Avenue location.
Oh, okay. Here?
Yep. Right over there.
Okay.
Recently installed in 2014 or 15.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So that's our site currently.
Now when you
go right ahead.
When you say access, are you speaking just general access or vehicle access, walking access, or is it all combined?
Access, these two access on top are both just walking access. Where the access down off of Baldwin is vehicle access, handicap access, and pedestrian. So all the above. But the slope is very steep to be getting down some of these other locations. There is possibilities to doing ramps there. It's just a bigger endeavor, but at the same time, that's what grants like this are for, is to serve the underserved. And so if we need access from some of these other from Park, for example, then we would be able to create that. So
real quick, Barbara has a question. Barbara, you have to unmute your microphone.
I'm just new at this. Going back to the access there, because I'm sort of looking at this red area as a potential for pickleball courts, and I'm wondering it looks like, is this residential back here? What is
yeah, we're currently residential in the majority of this area. And then we have a little bit of commercial as you get along this side.
Which side?
Do you see the screen?
Yes.
So along the left side on the screen is more commercial on that side. So we're primarily residential on this edge, and then commercial on this side, and then the tracks, and then we head down towards downtown.
When I drove through there several months ago, that back there was a lot of trees, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, along this back edge.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, and how is that patrolled?
Can someone from the parks chime in on that?
Right now it's patrolled by the Oroville Police Department.
Okay. And on this map, can you show me where the restrooms are? Because that's kind of important.
Sure. Currently, the restrooms are right here. Oh, sorry.
Where?
Right here.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
In the center
Thank
of the
you
park.
very much. Thanks, Greg.
All right. So So this is a drawing that was done back at the last phasing plan. And so you see some elements that were put in, like this area up on top with the amphitheater, the bocce courts, the grass areas, the restroom is in, the parking lot is in. We were at that time looking at moving the train to an area that, I don't know, people would have more visibility on, and we were going to move the train right next to the restroom, but that fell through and we decided to put a play structure there. So we currently still have the train up on top off the park and down below. So we still have the two trains. But our site currently, we're looking at, this parking lot area being, sorry, one moment. Got to make sure I get out of some of this. This parking lot area staying, and then the orange area was a large group picnic area. The green on the left here was an amphitheater for events with seating and other picnic like pop-up tents in the back and shade structures. This green area is multiple different playgrounds, and those playgrounds would both be, inclusive, accessible, and whatever theme we decide to make them. And then we had a very large turf area over to the right of the project. And then the purple was a spray ground, so in-ground spray area where people can get wet, cool off in the summer, etc. So those were the designs that were done in the past. And, when you say pickleball and things like that, obviously those courts aren't currently shown here, but that's why we're having this conversation, so we could really look at the opportunity to enhance this park the way that people want it. Does anybody have any questions when you're looking at this drawing? Great. Again, the goal for tonight is we're really going to want to focus on finding out what we want, and whether it's a commissioner or the public, we're all the same here. Please feel free to express something that that the community needs and wants, and where do we think we should put it. So I'm going to keep going here.
Mr. Milton, if you would, real quick, please. Beth, do you have a question? You'll have to unmute your mic, Beth.
Dog park is good.
Yes, that's one of the items that we've been throwing around for a while. Beth, do you have a microphone that you're able to speak with in the meeting? Okay, so I'm going to have, if you don't mind, for the sake of time, I'm going to have Mr. Melton continue. If you want to post your question, and then we will, Beth, if you want to post your question, and then we will come back to it once it's posted.
Kay has her hand up. Go ahead, Kay.
Hi, everyone. I can't make my video now work either, so whatever you're looking at, hi. I have a question about the grant process. I understand the grant money will be help us to build it. What funds will help us to ensure safety and maintenance, and that the park is really being used with the purpose that we intended?
The funds will be the same funds that we currently have. We would review and adjust the budget as necessary for this specific park. As far as patrolling for safety, that would also fall within our Oroville Police Department, and they would patrol it as they typically would. It's not necessarily adding to their day, it's just adding square footage to their patrol.
Okay, because a lot of our concerns have been, as we add things and upgrade things, a concern usually is voiced, well, we don't have the means to maintain that or additional surveillance. So I really want to make sure that if we have something good going here, we build in somewhere a plan, absolute plan, not just it'll take care of itself plan, but an absolute plan on monitoring and safety and keeping it clean.
Right. No, and I understand that. And the city is currently in a financial state that we can maintain this as necessary or as it's needed and required to be maintained and patrolled.
Great. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So, again, so this was just an old plan. It had some good things going with the group picnic area and playground, splash pad, all things people wanted at that time. That's just an aerial of the site. I guess with this slide, how many people live near the park, say within a half acre of the park? Anybody?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
And not a half acre, but
I mean a half mile. Sorry.
I live in a half mile.
Yeah, I'm a half mile.
Same.
I live a half mile.
All right, so there's a few of you there. So good. That's great. And then, so as we look at this aerial photo, you can see that there's a lot of things going around the park, and you can see where some of the schools are and some of the other elements. So, we're really hoping this park has a much bigger influence of people using it than just a half mile. But it's our focus to really try to get everybody in this residential area to participate. So we are going to pass out flyers and do some more direct participation in getting people to these meetings. So with that, I'm going to stimulate you guys a little bit with some ideas on what possibly can go in this park, just so you can kind of see what's been going on out in the park world, and then we can talk about it and come back to the plan and maybe talk about where some of these things can go.
Oh, I have
All right.
some ideas.
Spray grounds. So spray grounds are probably one of the hottest items that is being asked for in all the communities I work with. And again, these are on-grade water features that don't need a lifeguard. The water is recycled, and you currently activate it, and the water runs for a set amount of time. So if you want it to run for 5 minutes or 2 minutes, that's a setting we can do. And then you can activate different parts of it. So there could be, 3 or 4 different activators throughout the whole element to, if you want to turn on the little kid area because you don't want the big water, then you can just turn it on for your little toddler. But if you want the big bucket to dump water on your head, that's a different activity.
Mm-hmm. I have about the water source. We know that Cal Water charges a lot of money for water usage, and I understand you said it's recycled. But would it be possible to put in this plan a well and bring up the water for something to take care of this park? Would that be something that's could be considered in the plan?
That is a specific request from staff. We would like to see a well in this park.
Yeah, so from a grant standpoint, they want to provide recreation. So providing well, it falls under the sustainability of our project. So by doing that, we're going to show to ourselves that, hey, we're going to be more sustainable by using our own water and having a lower cost of water than if we were to use Cal Waters. So, and these facilities are totally recycling water the whole time. So you have water loss due to kids carrying it off on their bodies in bathing suits, evaporation, things like that. So, but these are really fun.
I'd like to just chat about that real quick. I've seen that style of splash pads in other communities, and they've been really well received and used. However, I believe it's at Riverbend Park, and then also in, say, the Chico Plaza, it's just water shooting out of the ground, and so
Right.
and that doesn't get used appropriately at all. So I would just want to make sure that if we go the route of a spray pad, that it really is play based and interactive based, not fountain like.
Right. Correct. And you would still have nozzles coming out of the ground, but you'd have more playful elements to trigger the fun.
Just real quick, I was just curious, what is the cost of maintaining that recycling system?
I think the last time I checked, I was talking with El Dorado Hills, and their system runs around $12,000 a year.
Okay, thank you.
Craig, how do we keep the homeless out of it? I mean, you said it was on a timer?
It's on an activator. So there's a place you go and you just hit a button, and it would run for a certain amount of time. So it'd run for 5 minutes. And then say when the sun, when you close the park at dusk, or when we feel it's getting too cold, then the whole thing would shut off and it would be unactivated. So you wouldn't be able to run it at night. That answer your question?
Yes, thank you. It does.
Again,
I'd like to see a gate around it.
most of the time you see on this bottom right, or all these pictures, there's typically some fencing around it to keep the kids in that area and keep kids from riding bikes in it and things like that. So fencing is important. Any other thoughts on spray grounds? What would the theme be here if we were to do this?
I have a question before that. What would make this, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the spray ground that was at Riverbend Park, but what would make this spray ground not get, I don't want to use the word abused, but abused as Riverbend's spray ground did? Because like some others have mentioned, we've had that here before, and the fear is just how it was used in the past with what we've had. And I mean, the excuse me, the structural activity based is good, but that's not going to help the element that we were seeing at the other spray park. Are there any ideas on that? Are you aware of the other spray park?
Yep, totally aware of the Riverbend Park, which was all nozzles coming out of the ground. And we did that primarily because we didn't want these structures that were sticking up, you see in these pictures, to get all beat up and people grabbing them and hanging on them and things like that. Several spray parks use like boulders or rock formations and create little creeks through them to where the play is a little more natural. And it's hard to damage a rock with a nozzle coming out of it, but still very interactive for kids. And I think the kids just want to get wet. They don't care if what the water's coming out of. Last thing I want to do is buy these flowers and have someone just tear one down,
With your other projects that have these, what's roughly the annual cost of repairs that they're seeing?
That varies on where you're at, of course, but a lot of we are putting something similar to this into Nelson Pool. It's orca themed, so there's some orca tails and things like that, and some little water spray and turtles and things that are sticking out, and that'll be installed by this summer. So we will have a spray ground in Nelson Pool. Of course, that's fenced and monitored, where this one would just have typically like a 4-foot fence around it. I don't have a budget on what that would be on an annual basis, but replacement costs, maybe we don't have 10 flowers like this picture shows. Maybe there's only 2 or 3 elements that are above ground, and then the rest are on grade or coming out of rocks or something more natural like that, to where we minimize the capability of damage.
Thank you, sir.
All righty. Swings and other inclusive play. So there's a lot of new swings out there. You see this one in the middle is a friendship swing, whether it's adults or kids, you're looking at each other as you swing, and whether someone's pushing you or you're doing it yourself. On the right is more of a controlled scenario for the disabled, but it also makes it very safe for young kids to go in, and mom and dad don't have to worry about them falling out. Different structures for wheelchair access. You can get on and spin around, but you're making the element spin via kind of like at the fair. You go to the fair and you turn that wheel and you're spinning around in those fair rides. That's kind of how this element works on the lower right. And then, go ahead. So on the lower left is an old merry-go-round. We all had merry-go-rounds growing up, and so is the one to the right of it. But this one is open to where you can just roll right onto it. But this merry-go-round has a net, and you can climb to the top and be spinning really fast, or get on the outside bottom where it goes a little slower. So these are very fun, and all ages can be on here, because you can just go sit in the middle if you want.
What's the thing, the slide type thing?
So on the left, so these are roller slides, and so they just kind of keep the slide more consistent, depending on what people wear during a slide and the slope of the slide. The rollers help it come down at a constant pace. And then at the bottom of that, it's kind of neat. That's called a little transition bench, to where you get to the bottom, and if you are disabled or handicapped and you can't get off the slide without your chair, you just slide over, sit right here, and other people can keep coming, so you don't become a burden to everybody coming off the hill. So it's a nice transition slide element that allows people not to feel like, oh, if I go down this slide, I'm going to be sitting there waiting for my wheelchair. Any other ideas or thoughts on these elements?
I have a thought. Like I said in the text, you just tugged at my heartstrings. I have a disabled brother who's got cerebral palsy, and there is not much in the words of fun that he's been able and allowed to have access to, because it's very hard to get him onto things. And this is amazing. Like, some of these ideas on the screen, absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think we've come a long way from wheelchair access, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could have wheelchair access to a slide, but you still had to be able to come down and get off the slide. So now there's some great things going on out there. So this is kind of the gaming page, or the more active page, where we got cornhole, horseshoes. We got concrete ping pong tables now that are becoming popular in parks. You show up with your own ping pong ball and paddle, and which fits easily into a kid's backpack. So, it works out well. The zip line up on the upper right. Most of the zip lines today wouldn't have a harness. You would just be sitting on it. And I think I have another slide that shows that. But we'd incorporate these types of play with turf areas, to where it's not necessarily turf for sports, but turf for fun. So it's a lot of neat new opportunities. And with cornhole, again, you would have to bring your own cornhole bags, but the cornhole wouldn't be this wood shaped. They would be made out of concrete and anchored to the ground. So you wouldn't have a problem with anything moving. I don't show
a question or a comment. I like the idea of multi-use turf areas beyond just sports games. One thing that I know is a lack in our community is the ability to use parks or turf areas past 5 o'clock during daylight savings. I put it in the text, but I'll mention it here. And I think that one thing that would be really beneficial if we also had lighting that could be ran, say, from 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock, so that people who are getting off work can still take their kids out to run around and play, or us adults who like to run around and play have an opportunity to do that as well, because currently there's nowhere that you can go. We actually purchased battery-operated spotlights so that we could play soccer during the winter.
Nice. Committed. Very good. Montana, what's Gaga Ball? I know you're in there. Does anybody know what Gaga Ball is?
I think he just gave you some homework.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Sorry, I had my mute on. Actually, my boys played it back in Ohio at a camp, and they adored it. So it's sort of a little enclosed fenced area that's a circle, and the kids go in. It's a maybe like a kickball type of ball, and it can be anything from 2 kids to as many kids who show up. And I think all the action has to stay below the knee. Mm-hmm. And you're trying to get the ball maybe to hit the wall behind each kid. I don't know all the rules, but I could not believe how much they loved it. And then later I saw my niece's school in Marin had one on their playground at the school. And it had the same, like the kids just loved it. They'd get in there and it was a lot of soccer moves, but it was intended to sort of be inclusive and quick, and they'd all be laughing and sweating, and they just loved it. So it was very much fun to watch how much the kids enjoyed it.
Sure. No, that's great.
I think
Montana,
it's the thing in the lower left.
Right.
Looks like a Gaga court. That's kind of why I mentioned it, but.
Okay, good.
On the lower left there, see how there's sort of like a little corral? I don't know if that's what that is, but it's set up maybe more with walls instead of a fence.
Okay.
And the walls say come up to your waist. And then, it's quick games, and then it's very inclusive.
I'll have to look into that.
I think, which is sweet. So,
very good.
Anyway, it brought back a memory of how much they loved it.
That's awesome. I'll have to look into that. I mean,
if anybody can see my screen, I just pulled up the Gaga Ball.
Oh, wow. Okay. Gotcha.
I don't want to be a Debbie Downer on this, but I'm not a fan of the zip lining. I just see lots of that fraught with a lot of problems, but I love the set cornholes in a place. The ping pong tables are set. You can bring your pickleball racket in your backpack. All the rest of them, way cool. I'm not a ziplining fan.
Why don't you like ziplining?
Oh, I love ziplining, but I don't trust people to put their kids in that kind of a harness and throw them out over a high space of.
Yeah, let me go to another slide real quick. I think you'll see that. I don't have it. I must have missed that one. So typically zip lining in the playground world, this is an adventure ropes course of some sort. So I should have showed it a little bit more clear. You can't be above 30 inches off the ground. You have to have fall material under you, and there's no harness. You're just sitting and hanging onto your rope, and there's certain steepness that you can do and can't do. so they, playground safety has stepped in and made zip lining pretty fun.
Okay.
So I'll bring those back to the next meeting, and so you can see that.
I grew up down in Bedrock. Those were the best swings in town, and they were the highest, best streak. And we used to walk up and down the levee and race up, climb the levee. So I grew up doing this stuff. I appreciate the change you made in the zip line concept. Thank you.
Sure. Who was that just speaking?
Kay Castro.
Oh, thank you, Kay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So a lot of fun, and this will stimulate more ideas like the Gaga. But one good thing is we do have a nice hillside that we're working with, and these on-grade slides have become very popular, and you can see kids climbing up multiple slides down, whether it's a multiple person slide that's wide, or like the one on the left that's a little bit steeper and a little bit more intimidating. Everybody has their own level of fun. So what do you guys think about on-grade slides that, won't be facing into the sun?
Those slides remind me of the old slide that was at USA Park when I was a kid. That was metal, and it hurt every time I went down that sneaking thing.
The seams would catch you.
That, and they just get really hot.
Right.
I think the back side of the park where all of the trees are and where the stair accesses are, a little bit more shady and could work, and works with the natural elements of the park as well.
Very true. Hey,
I agree. I like
Mr.
this because you're
Milton?
maximizing the space.
There was a question asked earlier by Commissioner Krantz that I want to get a response to, because I'm curious too. Will any of the expansion affect the parking space?
Negative.
Oh, great.
At this point, we're not going to affect any reduction of parking spaces. And if we need to put some, maybe up off a park or somewhere, if we need more access, if we do an accessible path up there, then we may need to add a handicap parking.
Greg, how many parking spaces currently are there?
That question.
Oh.
You got me. Let me count real quick here.
Well, I'm thinking of pickleball tournaments.
Right. So, let's see what we got here. It doesn't say necessarily, but if I had to count real quick, 10, 20, 40, 60, 80. There's probably about 100 around 100 on there right now, 110.
Okay, thank you.
A rough quickie on that.
That's good.
And when we have tournaments, things like that occur, and we know that sometimes it's super crowded when you have a tournament and things like that. I did show a small little amphitheater structure. Again, whether it's wood or metal or whatever it is, there's an opportunity. Do you guys think an amphitheater is something we want here? I know Riverbend Park just put one in, but a small one for this community?
I think that the Bedrock Park is also set up to have an amphitheater and might be a better location for something like that.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since this is more neighborhood, that might be really upsetting for those residents.
I got a question about so after putting out the flyer that we received from Dawn out to the public and receiving a lot of feedback on it, there's a lot of different interests and things. I go through this park regularly, the Hewitt Park, and there's actually a lot of people who utilize the existing basketball court that's there because it's one of the few that we actually have access to in town. And I see people using it for not only basketball, but I've seen people use it for boxing lessons, for some wrestling lesson, not wrestling. What was it? Anyway, it's been quite a few different things I've seen people on. But then when the community started chiming in on this particular issue with the pickleball and the various other things, I'm wondering how hard it would be to get some sort of multi-purpose area that would accommodate, it could be a basketball court, or it could be a pickleball court, or it can be a whatever court you need it to be. Just something to ponder on.
That's great.
Barbara, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We currently have the use of two bedrock courts that we have an overlay on top of a tennis court. And it's just, the lines get really confused at times. But what we are really needing, because we are growing so fast, we are really needing our own dedicated courts. And to share that with another sport, I think is really certainly not our first choice. I mean, I hate to put a squash on things and sound like a curmudgeon, but we've been battling this for 7 years. And I really think that since we've outgrown bedrock and we are pushing into the use of 4 or 5 courts as it is right now, we have early morning players, actually before dawn. We have people who are playing after work. So we also need lights. But I mean, we have, in our heyday before the virus hit, we had 40 to 45 people. And that was and we've grown since. So it is the fastest growing sport in the nation. And we really, really need our own court. Sorry.
And we have room to do that. I mean, if that's a reality, there's a lot of space in this park that we could, that we can use to put more courts in and to, really, really use this space throughout the site. So, so that was just kind of a little stimulator of pictures and things, but outside the box of what I showed, what other ideas are out there? What else are people looking for?
One of the things that I see over at Bedrock is a very large population of monks who play volleyball in the evenings, and they have a blast.
Are they sand or grass?
They're actually taking a tennis court and elevating it with homemade poles attached to the tennis court, so they have made it into a volleyball court.
Interesting.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's very
court
clever.
Any kind of a court volleyball, I think that would be really neat. There's lots of things for children, and maybe it doesn't seem like that if you have them, but we've got lots of, but to include our adult population and young adults is, I think, pretty critical.
I would say one thing that our parks, though, are missing is playgrounds for multiple age groups. So, for example, this park has one play structure, which only really serves one age group. And so for young families with multiple age groups of children, that means that some of your children are sitting idly and bored and not at all enjoying the park. So the other thing, I totally agree with you. We need to be able to have a park that is multi-use for multiple types of families or individuals, young, old. And so I think that that's something that's really important for this design. In order to make sure that it's being used properly, we have to make sure that there's multiple types of people who want to be there at the same time and playing together. And again, I like dog parks.
I agree with Councilmember Riggs, and also I just wanted to piggyback off of that and ask what the group thinks about barbecue areas, picnic tables, and shade structures, adding more of those for rentable space for this park, but also for the parents who want to come and let their kids play but don't just want to sit on a bench, having areas for them to sit and barbecue, and it can be a family affair.
Absolutely, please.
Mm-hmm.
We do not have enough rentable space during the summer times, during non-COVID summer times. as it is right now with Riverbend and Rotary Park are the two that I know that people rent a lot because of the structure and the power and the just the amenities that are available. And I know that it is very hard during the summertime for people to get actual reservations to something that is worth spending the money for as it is right now. So yes, I love that idea.
Good.
Absolutely. This is Kay Castro. I've been chatting along, but I want to verbally say to the group, absolutely 100% behind what Chrissy commented. Multiple use. You take your little kids over here and the other kids play basketball and somebody's playing pickleball or cornhole, and then we're going to barbecue on the side. Absolutely multi-use, one-stop park shopping.
Chrissy, did you have something?
Do people use shared barbecue area? I totally get the picnics, but do people use barbecues when they're at barbecue places?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Before COVID, yes. You would bring your own charcoals and stuff and barbecue at the barbecue pits that are set up permanently at the parks. Some people don't. Some people bring their own barbecuers, but yes, a lot of people utilize the permanent barbecue pits.
I like the idea of if we go that route, that also including the smaller, like the cornhole ideas, those smaller like interactive activities next to that area so that people don't have to go far away from their party.
Yes.
Oh,
As
go ahead.
I had commented earlier, I live downtown. It is a very short walk up there. Some of us who live in the second stories of these buildings don't have access to barbecue facilities. I could call all you guys and say, hey, we're barbecuing at Hewitt. I mean, it would be a good downtown thing, I think, to have a barbecue that close.
Good point. So it's about a relationship between all the elements and people, sitting areas, social areas, picnic areas. So where, you can be at one spot and see your 3 different aged kids at each different spot, right?
Yes.
And I have a question too about, there used to be parking off Darrell Porter Way, which is the side street that used to lead into the back of that park. Is that still there anymore? No, past the apartment. Down past those apartments, that was an access area way
There's
back when.
access, but I don't believe there's designated parking. It just has become kind of a dead end.
Yeah, there might be
some parking there, no parking at that end of the park.
A few on-street parking spots, but there's
Is that
no
it
parking
there?
lot.
No, it's an actual street. It goes past the apartments. Darrell Porter Way. You can see it.
It's where your words train and existing bocce are.
Oh, right.
It's over here. Yeah, it's right. It's over here. Yeah, where the words are. That street. Right.
And that was one of our thoughts for an entrance to a dog park, but also to have a long walkway as a back entrance into Hewitt Park, just conceptually. And because dogs aren't allowed in the parks, this would be a separate access to allow the dogs within our parks.
And it used to be an area parked because I had, I've parked there years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I seen that smile, Chrissy.
Well, that's where I take my dogs.
So I have a question for Dawn or Wade or whoever it may pertain to. So I have a couple of questions, actually. The first question, this grant that is being applied for, will that go to the park fund or will that go to the general fund and be distributed?
No, it is directly dedicated to this park and only this park.
Okay. And then so the second question then is, as this goes along, is this all going to come back to the park commission to get finalized?
The approval for the application well, that's why we're here. We're getting the park commission's consent. Well, let me back up again. We're on a very tight timeline with this grant application. We have to have it submitted by February 12th, I believe. And
March
so
12th, yeah.
March 12th, there we go. Thank you. Oh, I gained a month. Yeah. And so we're doing these community meetings very quickly. So we may not have time to come back to the Park Commission for a final draft approval. It will go straight to council. We are taking it to council next Tuesday, the 19th, to get the resolution approved. But basically and I can have Greg Melton jump in on this as well. But
So let me clarify my question, if I may. I understand for the application process, do you have to have a completed plan and drawing of what this is going to be to do the application process?
Yeah, so we'll be going through our input, and then there'll be conceptual designs, and we'll be able to bring this back in front of you in early February to show you what the people have requested for, and what the design looks like. It's not a super detailed design. It's more of a bubble diagram with a lot of photos and sketches, but that we need that to create the cost and to establish, exactly what the people has asked for, and that we're taking care of those requests.
Right, I understand that. I guess to be more specific, because the Parks Commission actually has the power over the expenditures coming out of the park fund. My question is it going to come back to the Park Commission so that we can say, yes, this is what we want,
Yes.
or no, this is what we don't want?
Yes, it is. And if you're talking about the different elements on the yes and no, it would be great to obviously get that before that last meeting. So if there's something that's popping up, now I think that the commission should really voice themselves, and if you don't want something, then it needs to come up, and we need to be really direct with that. So, because we do have 1 month really to could get all this input, get a plan, and then put that grant together.
And to clarify also, the funding isn't coming from the park funding, it's coming from grant funding. And so the Park Commission we don't necessarily have to bring it back for final approval to the Park Commission, because we're not asking for park fund dollars out of the city budget. It's solely grant funding that's being used for this park. But again, we will bring it back to the Park Commission for final review before it goes to City Council.
Okay, that was the main part of my question. Was the grant going? Yeah, if it was going into the park fund for this project.
No,
so that makes a whole lot more.
It will
sense.
be a separate fund, and so there is no matching fund dollars required. So there will be no funding coming from the general fund or from the parks funds.
Thank you, Dawn. That
You're
makes
welcome.
more sense.
All right, what else you guys got? Dog park. Everybody like dog parks?
Everybody likes dog parks.
Dog/animal park and disabled areas for me. That's my top two.
Would everybody like to see more shade trees where appropriate, or more of an open sight line? Any preference there?
I prefer shade structures, like those tent type things over playgrounds, over trees.
The gazebos?
Not
Yeah.
necessarily gazebos. They're like bigger than
even sun sails over the playgrounds.
Shade structures.
Shade structures would also help for pickleball.
My number three. I had my top two. My number three, I would like to see, personally, I would like to see a pickleball court for these folks, because I know Beth has been coming and speaking to us about pickleball, and I finally got to see the video today of the pickleball, which to me resembles a lot of tennis, and I don't quite understand it yet, but they are very intent on it. They are very dedicated to it, and I'd like to see, if we have that much community involvement in the sport, I'd like to see it be able to take off here and maybe even grow here.
Great. Beth, what do you got? What's on your mind? Beth or Kay or Andy, go ahead. Whoever.
I have a question about the pickleball court. I watched the YouTube video that Beth submitted, and I could tell that they were playing on tennis courts, but is a traditional pickleball court smaller than a tennis court?
Yes, it is. It's actually what you see being played is on an overlay. And so our court is 40 by 20 is where you're almost 120 by 60 on a tennis court. So we have, it's similar as you say, but there are a lot of differences. It's a lot faster. It's actually quite strenuous at times. You can get a pretty darn good workout with it. We have a lot of our players play both tennis and pickleball. We're not trying to steal anything from another sport. We are our own individual sport.
Right.
I think we can bring a lot of energy and focus to Hewitt Park because of the number of people in this community who are already playing. And as I said before, we've got people from all ages that are playing. We range from 13 at one time all the way up to 79. So it's a great family sport. Many couples play the sport.
Okay.
They don't always get along, but no, I'm just kidding. That was a joke.
Okay.
And I have a suggestion. I need to know how often the bocce court.
Thank you, Michelle. That was going to be my next question.
Because I haven't seen them used much at Hewitt Park.
I have not seen the bocce courts used at Hewitt Park since they opened at Purple Line.
I actually play bocce, and I've never used those bocce courts.
How come?
So we could get rid of those and put, you know what I mean? It's another space to add another feature.
I'm curious, Chrissy, why don't you guys who run the league, who play in the leagues, play out there?
Because those courts aren't maintained, and because Purple Line has wine. Which is, yeah, I mean, when we walk past that area, there's often broken glass or weeds growing in it. Also, I kind of don't like parks where you have to bring your own things. Like you have to go and get all your bocce bags, and you got to get all of your things for like that table tennis idea. It's like for people to be able to engage in elements of parks when they're there and not have to plan ahead for it.
Mm-hmm.
And my broken record comment again, and I would love to hear from someone before. It's not for me. I appreciate all the efforts of getting this grant money and doing this, unless we provide a sense of security that it's clean and maintained and taken care of. That is the first obstacle. I socialized this with the businesses around there today and also local people downtown here. And every single one of them said, great idea. How are they going to maintain it? Great idea. Is it going to be clean? Great idea. Is it going to be safe? So I'm going to harp on that until I hear, Police Commissioner, President, Chief Deal say, yes, Kay, if there's a problem right now, which we've heard there is, we've all discussed this, there isn't enough maintenance and police right now to monitor and take care of our parks as they are. If we're going to generate increased traffic there, it only is kind of logical. If you're having a problem now, what are you going to have then? So let's just put that elephant in the room away so we can proceed on doing something really positive and make these improvements.
And to add to that, Commissioner Castro, one of the reasons why we want to increase activity there too is to increase positive activity to deter the negative activity that takes place at this park. So the more that we can have these inclusionary activities that broadly meet all of the audiences or all the age groups within our community, the better we can self-monitor as well, or in addition to the monitoring that our police department does and our code enforcement patrols make and our parks department monitors for maintenance. And so I think they all tie in together, but leaving that back end vacant doesn't help with the positive activity taking place at that park. It just encourages negative activity because it's in a pocket. So,
So really,
I'm all for a pickleball court. We have all those people. It's a great element. They're cleaning. They're positive. Pickleball's my vote. Thank you.
I have a comment really quick as well. Whatever we do there, whatever gets decided, as far as the lighting, the electrical, the landscaping, all of that, we know how the not so compliant element in our town are. We know that they've ripped out all of our wiring for our lights and our sprinklers and our everything. So whatever is put in there, whatever's designed, just keep in mind, obviously you will, but just as a reminder, permanent and then locked, non-accessible, where they cannot get to it, to rip it out, to tear it apart, to destroy it, to cost us more money.
definitely.
I think. Excuse me.
Beth had something to say. You want to get her hand up?
Beth doesn't have a mic.
She doesn't have a mic, yeah. But I would like to say, what I really think is important is that down at Bedrock, where we have been playing, and we have, since we're there so much, we play 5 days a week, and that's just our group, let alone the early morning and the afternoon people. But we have really contributed to calling the police, asking them to patrol more, and they have, and we've seen better outcomes. The restrooms down there are not as destroyed as they were getting more frequently down there. So I think having this focus there again at Hewitt, I think will bring that kind of patrolling to it automatically.
Well, this is the good comments we've brought in. If we can look at the map for a second, I'd like to kind of have people tell me a little bit about, where they feel the best places is for some of these items, and how we, where you want them to occur in the park.
I like where Dawn had previously discussed the dog park idea at the end of Darrell Porter.
Okay. So dog park over in this zone.
And then some of the other things are going to be dependent on whether they're going to have shade structures or
they're going to have shade structures. So where do we feel the pickleball is the right place to be? We got the courts existing here with basketball and other uses.
The closest to the parking spots, because we do play so often, and when I was there several months ago, I drove all the way to the back where there is an enormous amount of land, which is, I think, what this red spot back here is, right?
Yep.
And it just seemed ideal for our courts right there. And
maybe
especially with the
backside
trees
of-
right back there could give us a little bit of shade. I thought that would be really good.
Are you talking about where he's putting the squares or over next to the basketball courts?
I think she closer to the basketball courts, I think.
I think over that way.
Yeah, where it says existing court.
Where
in that area?
I don't know. Is the parking lot right? I mean, where are the parking spaces? Right down here, right?
Well, she wants it there.
So that's the parking.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking back here, right where your red line, your red over on the left or the right. I don't care if this is. I mean, wherever, we're just happy to have being considered. So we'll go where you think is best, but
okay.
We don't want to have any drainage problems, or we don't want to.
All that'll be handled.
Okay, thank you.
I think she's talking about, the parking lot. Let's put it where that's the bathroom. So the red area below the bathroom.
In here?
Yeah, right in there.
Yeah, I think so.
That's where our play structure currently is.
Yeah, so you guys, what we need to do is just, look at, we're going to end up with a group picnic area. We need picnic areas that are centrally located. So if we have basketball here, we may want picnic. If we got, pickle dog park, we're going to have a picnic area. If we're going to have a group picnic area, it needs to be close to the parking also, because you're carrying a lot of drinks and food. And then everything can kind of spine off of that, right?
Yeah.
Off a central picnic zone that maybe would have 4 or 5 picnic areas and one big picnic area. So if you're saying I want shade, but I want to be close to the parking lot, then we're going to have to build in some shade for the pickleball, so you can have somewhere to sit while you're waiting for the next game.
Just a suggestion, there is parking all along the bocce courts too. And we would like to see the bocce courts go bye-bye.
So is that a consensus? Bocce goes away?
Also that area would also make good multi-use turf areas along with picnic.
Right. In addition to, we can fit a lot of pickleball courts in a little space like this, if we want to use that concrete for the pickleball. And, how many courts are you thinking, Barbara? 4 or 5?
Barbara would like 8.
Barbara would like 8 courts.
Barbara would like 8. And I'll tell you why. Because we're pushing into 4 right now pretty consistently. I'd love to see a backboard, because when we teach new players, we try to get them on a backboard. We stay warmed up for the next game by hitting against the backboard. So that area right there closer to the street would be probably really ideal if you're getting rid of those bocce courts.
What about pushing?
Is that a direction we're feeling that the bocce needs to go away?
Do it.
I think so. And also, what about pushing those pickleball courts eastward towards that fence line, and then put more picnic areas in the front, so those playing pickleball can set their things down at the picnic areas between the parking lot or the parking spaces at the entrance and the pickleball courts. Is that a doable thought for the pickleball folks?
Do more picnicking along this
here, and
then the pickleball further back,
right there.
So we're
and then there
walking
could be a
through the
backstop.
picnic area to get to the pickleball courts.
You can have your own access that's not picnic, straight in or, in between. This will be a big grass area is what I see it. And that way you can sit and watch people from the picnic areas to the pickleball. And
question, is this pickleball courts, are they fenced in?
Yep.
Yes.
Don't need a big high fence, but they are fenced in.
And just as a point of interest, they put in 10 pickleball courts at Ishii Middle School, and they dreadfully miscalculated the fencing. And so, yeah, there's fencing around it, but I think, what is it, Greg, about 10 feet in height?
I think that's a little high for what it is, but.
Well, you haven't seen us lob yet.
The goal is not to make it feel like you're in a cage. So if the ends are taller than the sides, that's kind of a nice approach to doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So similar to tennis, you need something to keep the balls from taking off from you.
Yeah.
Right. We can have courts. Not every court needs to be fenced. We can have multiple courts together with just a perimeter fence, and maybe a small 4-foot fence in between the courts to keep the rolling balls from crossing.
Chico's courts are really well done.
Right.
They did good spacing between the courts. They did good spacing between the baseline and the fence area, which they didn't do at Ishii. They did made a lot of errors on Ishii, which I was really sad to see that happen. But we'll work on that when we get to it. Let's just find a place for us.
Sure.
And whatever you decide, please do not remove the horseshoe pits from the park, because there are some gentlemen who utilize those pretty regularly, and one of their concerns was that their pits were going to go bye-bye.
What else we got, guys? We talked about,
Are you
know,
interested? Yeah. Is there interest in having some water feature?
spray ground.
I'll speak frankly, I'm not interested in a water feature just because of problems that have been seen at other water features and knowing how things occur in our community, unfortunately.
I would also
And
say, again, like Bobby, not as interested in a spray ground, especially since Riverbend and potentially Bedrock could be areas where there's natural water recreation areas.
well, not to mention, I do believe Feather River Parks and Rec has stated that there's interest in putting a water feature at USA Park.
And what about that slide that goes down the hill?
It looks like a butt burner to me.
I think the kids would love it.
Yeah.
I think having
They're
the
pretty
shade
popular.
trees along that
Especially
hill
if they
would
could
make
get some
it more
sort of
usable.
rock terrain to climb up to be able to slide down, like climbing the mountain to slide down the slide. That'd be cool.
Greg, do they make a better material so you're not getting burned?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they've got many materials now.
Okay.
So
That would also satisfy the idea of having play activities for older kids. So I would also like to see more than one play structure.
okay.
Or single play structure standalone looks pretty silly.
What about, we didn't talk about, when we talk about teams, you know, that's where things like the zip line, a bouldering boulder, you know, a big tall boulder for climbers. Climbing's a very popular sport now. There's things like that, you know, really target the teens and keep them active, or that big merry-go-round is fun.
I
What
like
about
that roller slide.
Okay.
Or like a climbing wall.
That's what I mean by the bouldering. The bouldering is
Okay.
like a climbing wall.
Mhm.
So it's a combination. And it just sits in a fall zone, just like a playground would.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's legal. I mean, it meets all playground safety, so it's a good thing.
Okay.
Well, I had a question earlier. This might be for Dawn or for the design group. Is there, based on your experience with these grants, are there things that would strengthen our application and make us more likely to receive it?
It's been my experience that it's what the people want that make it a strong grant, and that if it provides for all the different ages, right? We want to do that. And, you know, hopefully we get them all to participate in our next 3 or 4 meetings, but it's about getting good input and then providing what the community wants in this area. So we can't just add something and say, oh, that's going to get us another point for the grant.
Mm-hmm.
So
Everyone who is here, I would challenge you, whether you're here for pickleball, which most are, or otherwise, I would challenge you to share the information about the upcoming public meetings so that we can get more public input on this project.
Yes, thank you, Bobby.
So we'll be sending out another flyer and with comments and things from this meeting. And if you guys can share that amongst your email groups, that would be, you know, the best thing that we can do is to get, you know, more people, non-commissioners, just the public. And we are going to target the neighborhood also. So it's not just special interest groups for people coming in from out of the area. We really want to target the locals in this underserved area. This grant is about providing recreation for the underserved community. And thus this is why this park is such a good spot.
Thank you, Greg, very much for your help with this.
Yes,
Surely.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So I think Don hit it, is if everybody can keep, you know, emailing, sending it to the city, everything about that, you know, ideas, pictures, anything you see, like if you see a park that you like, send a picture of it. If you want to do a drawing of something, just sketch it out. Doesn't have to look good or bad. So it just needs to be an idea that we get on paper from you guys, and that would really help us capture your needs and wants visually. So Dawn, is everybody pretty much expressed themselves at this point, or do you need some more conversation?
I think we have enough to go off of to kind of get ready for the next meeting. So yeah, I thank you everybody very much for participating. Once Greg has concluded, then we'll kind of roll into the other program application. And I know we're running low on time. It's already 6:48 in the evening, but I just wanted to be able to give everybody an idea of what we were looking at for that grant application and get some feedback. So Greg, did you have any other topics of discussion for this evening?
No, it's just key to spread the word so we can, get some really good input. So I'm just going to reiterate that.
Definitely.
And then you guys will see a design on our fourth meeting to comment on. And in the meantime, we just want to prioritize the most important elements. So the more input you give, the better.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you all. I'm out of here. Dawn, anything else?
That's all for this evening, Greg. Thank you.
Okay, then
we'll catch
I'll
up
stop
tomorrow.
Sharing. You guys all have a great night, and go look at Riverbend Park. There's some new things going in there that could, see what's going on as far as in the play zone and the amphitheater and some things. So go check that out. Have a good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Greg. All right, everybody, before you leave, or I don't want you to leave just yet, we have one more park to discuss. And so our second application is going to be enhancements that will run along the Brad Freeman Trail from Bedrock Park to the Feather River Nature Center. That will also provide the connectivity from the trail under that green bridge to the Feather River Nature Center. So it'll be a complete trail that you can bike or walk with a stroller on safely. It'll be paved. The other component of this is adding a shade structure. You'll see here in the diagrams a shade structure at Riverbend Park and better access to that trail from the parking lot.
I'm sorry, Dawn, I'm interrupting. Riverbend or Bedrock?
I'm sorry, Bedrock. We kept saying Riverbend, and it got stuck in my head. Thank you for correcting.
No, I'm easily confused. So, okay, Bedrock.
Bedrock,
okay,
yes. I'm sorry.
All right.
Bedrock.
That's okay.
It's late.
Yeah, that's shit.
I know.
Okay.
So, thank you for that. Bedrock Park. So, the
Are you
intent
going to
is...
sear the... Yeah.
Yeah, to add a shade structure there at Bedrock Park, where the amphitheater seating was removed. And it's also to add more accessibility for ADA. Again, with this, we would like to add a Portland Loo at Bedrock Park up near the old bathroom structure that was burned down, and another Portland Loo at Centennial Plaza. We have discussed adding a Portland Loo with the county, and they have declined at this time because they have other ideas for the restrooms there at the Veterans Memorial Park. So we would just be installing the two Portland Loos again at Bedrock and the Centennial Park. So any questions regarding this so far?
Michelle,
Yes.
the bathrooms at the we've been kind of pushing for something that the docents could use there. And I know it's not in this particular plan, but could it be? I mean, so that there could be a Portland Loo somewhere that they could use, because that bathroom, as you know, that's at the Nature Center is basically unusable by the...
That one is still being visited. We have a lot of complexities to go with that restroom. We have discussed completely refurbishing the existing pit toilet. or installing a Portland loo that is a pit toilet style. If this is something that the community would like to see enhanced or completely upgraded, we can look into that. We could not do a pit toilet or a toilet that has connectivity to our sewer system because it is down below the sewer connection. So it would have to have a lift station to pump the material out of there. So our option at that location would be a pit style toilet. So
Dawn, right now, does the city sewer department have to go and empty that toilet when it was working?
Yes.
Okay. And then my next question is for the Portland loos that we're talking about going on the levee or close to.
Mm-hmm.
How far is the sewer connections from there? Or I guess the better way to ask the question is, what's it looking like cost effective wise to hook the sewer to these things where we're proposing them to go?
So currently the location for the pit, or the proposed location for the Portland loo at Bedrock Park, is going to be quite near the restrooms that were burned down. So the connectivity would be fairly easy to access. We're still going to have it engineered so that we know that we have the proper fall to feed that line. For the Centennial Plaza, we are looking at near one of the handicap parking spaces. The sewer connection is down on Safford, right at the base. Safford, right? At the base of the levee. And so the connectivity it's a lengthier connectivity, but still not impossible. And so that is also currently being reviewed and engineered.
So it would be safe to say that it would just, speaking in layman's terms, it would need a trench possibly to get the pipes.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This is Kay. I like the idea of something up by the nature center. If you think we're trying to encourage traffic along the river or something, you've got the fish hatchery and you can launch your kayaks there or across from the nature center, and then you can go to the bathroom on your way down the Centennial and Bedrock, and then you're at Riverbend. So I think if there's a need for it, and we're hearing that there's possibly a need, that nature center is a gorgeous, gorgeous attraction for our city and our recreation there on the river.
So, Dawn, really quickly, is this
Yes.
project just for the Portland loos, or is this for, I've seen something about signage and other
Yes.
things as well?
So this is also lighting, signage, and the trail enhancement with the ADA upgrades to make it more accessible. So that will be all rolled into this application.
So those areas that we want to do lighting and signage, those are not those are not in the Feather River Recreation and Park District, correct?
They are not.
Okay.
So we do have an MOU with the Feather River Recreation and Park District for the maintenance of the trail. That's currently being revisited with Feather River because the current MOU is quite outdated. I've spoken with their general manager. They have agreed to partner with us on this grant in support of this project. But this property is city-owned property.
Awesome. Thank you for that clarification.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any room in this grant to also improve there used to be a nice little swim area between the park and the little island, but it's become swampy. Is there room in this grant to resolve that or no?
The old plunge pool.
Yeah.
You know, for this grant, there may not be time for that because that would be a conversation that we would have to have with DWR.
Okay, thank you.
And Fish and Wildlife. Mm-hmm. And so time is of the essence with this grant. So we're going to focus on what we can control within the city property, but there is another grant coming up at the end of the year. So that's something we could possibly visit at that time.
When we first started talking about the Portland Loos, there were 4, and I believe we, as a Parks Commission, voted for those 4. So now the grant is going to just be for 2, possibly 3, but we don't know where the third one would go.
When we talked with the Parks Commission, there was 3 locations. We had 3 designated locations. We identified a 4th one if the Veterans Memorial Park did not come through, and that one did not come through. So the city would we still intend purchasing 2 Portland Loos because of the 2 locations here on this trail. The third one, we are still up in the air on that. The council has approved funding for the purchase of 3 Portland Loos, but we're still moving forward with this because this grant can refund the city for the purchase of those Portland Loos. But also we're doing 2 at this point because we want to test them out to see how we really like them. Are they really beneficial? Do they meet our needs? And then we'll look into other locations further.
Okay, great. Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments or thoughts for recreational things you would like to see within this location along the river? It's a widely used location, morning, noon, and night. Also with the salmon run, frequently used or activity here annually, and other runs, or walks.
I'd like to see a little more room through the area, maybe the bike path, especially if the bike path widened, especially if we're talking about possibly putting in a kiosk where the old bathrooms were at Bedrock, with the ability to have a rental go in there for bikes or kayaking or trailing or whatever you're liking. There's not a whole lot of room for everything right now. If you get bikes going through there and you get some pedestrians walking, they're pretty close in passing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to see maybe exploring the option of widening the trail.
Okay.
But I really like this idea to go along with the previous idea of making that a rentable space for recreational activities.
Mm-hmm. That's something we can review with the engineers as well, because we're running into limited space along the face of that levee, but absolutely we can have that conversation.
I'd like a few more locations. I know that you've added access to the trail, but adding a few more locations of access to the water. I know that people have kind of made their own access in different areas and created little plunge pools, and I see those as a possibility to really improve usage here.
Okay.
They call those riverfront properties, Chrissy.
High dollar, I'm sure.
No, those sound
Also,
great.
Kayak launch at kayak launch dock at Nature Center.
And there
Yeah,
again, because we're touching the
I was going there
water.
with that, Chrissy, because they did an incredible job during Salmon Festival across the river with the kayak launching. And oh my gosh, I just think that was fantastic use of our river.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw people doing that whole month and really enjoying it. And as people who also own kayaks, I think that would be a great area.
It still is a bit of a gray area. We would still have to coordinate with DWR and the Fish and Wildlife, but that's a conversation that can be had.
Definitely access from that path down to the water. Totally I'm supportive of that.
More accesses.
More access points, yes.
Okay. Any other comments? I know this one was quicker, but it's kind of a limited as far as activity goes.
How many lights are we looking at putting in there, Don?
100,000.
I want to see the place lit up because I'm tired of the vagrancy that goes on down there, but
we'll look
Is there
into
a-
that. So our consultant couldn't be here this evening, so I apologize. You're stuck with me on this one. But I'll talk with our consultant about the number of lighting and the spacing that they had intended for this location.
I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're
Doc,
never.
we're happy to be stuck with you.
I was just going to say, we're never burdened to be stuck with you. You're very knowledgeable in everything that you bring forward.
Beat you to it, Bobby. I know that a lot of people really appreciate the way the lighting is done on the dam because when you're wherever you are, it's lit.
I
When
agree.
you
That
think
makes it
you're getting
nice.
Out of darkness, you get into light.
Mm-hmm. No, and that would be nice to have more lighting, even atop the levee, to project down over the trail as well.
And again, make sure that it's as vandal proof and secure as possible.
Yes, definitely.
Even if it's ugly.
So wonderful. Thank you for all the comments. Are there any others that you guys would like to share? Or thoughts, ideas? And again, this is only one of 5 meetings that we will be holding. So if you think of something, email it to us. We'll be holding another meeting. We thought of having them jointly with the Mountain Design Group with the Hewitt Park meetings, but they start to run long. And so I think we're going to separate them out going forward. So it'll be 4 more meetings for each grant application. So, but we're not going to tie them to Park Commission meetings. We're going to have them separate. So we'll do some evening meetings, a weekend meeting, and then more day meetings as well. So,
Don, can you please be sure to, if you can, you or Jackie or whoever can, make sure to CC us in those dates and times and locations of the meetings?
yes, absolutely, we will. Well, thank you all again for being here and participating and providing your comments. They're all valuable. I've taken them all down. I'm going to be providing them to the consultant so they can enhance this program grant application for us. And hopefully, and I don't think I said it previously, this was a grant application that we had submitted in 2020, early 2020, but it was not awarded because that cycle of grant funding was oversaturated with applications. We're hoping that this cycle of funding will not be as overly saturated as that one, and so we will have a more competitive edge with this application round.
Are we having a regular February meeting, or is this in place of that?
We will be having a regular February meeting.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I think that is it for that part of the meeting, Don?
Yes.
All right, it looks like if nobody has anything to add, does anybody have anything? Seeing and hearing none, we're going to adjourn the meeting. The next regularly scheduled Parks Commission meeting for the City of Oroville will be February 8th, 2021 at 5 o'clock p.m.
Thank you all.